One of the themes that we see this week between two of the readings is practice. This whole idea of our students or people born with this innate talent, or does this innate talent come through to make them an expert with practice? In the 10,000 hour rule, the author goes through and talks about an experiment performed by Erikson. Erikson looks at students who play the piano and the violin. He first looks at the violin and compares the hours practiced a week among different students. Throughout their younger years, the hours are very similar. Then around age 8, he notes that there's a shift in the amount of hours practiced. Those students that as adults now are considered to be an expert or a professional at the violin were practicing as they got older to maybe 20, 30 hours a week, totaling around 10,000 hours. Those who were considered not to be an expert were only practicing, maybe 10 hours a week and only totaled around 2,000 to 3,000 hours worth of practice. His experiment kind of ties back to this whole 10,000 hour concept as far as if you achieve 10,000 hours, does that make you an expert or does it not make you an expert in the skill or the topic being presented? The author also uses the example of the Beatles and Bill Gates. Kind of talks about how the Beatles, they were playing 7 days a week, 4 or 5 hour long shows as they started to become famous, and the better that they got as a band, the longer that their shows would go. Kind of same thing with Bill Gates. The more that he practiced the programming, the better that he became, and his business grew and blew up essentially. So those two examples kind of play into this whole 10,000 hour rule being presented as far as practice does make better. The more that students or learners are practicing a concept or a skill, the more they're going to understand, the better they're going to be able to display or be able to explain the content being presented. I also think passion has a little bit to go in with this whole 10,000 hour rule. I think in order for a learner to be able to put that amount of time into a skill or a topic that they're learning or interested in, I think they need to have passion to want to learn that as well. I think without the passion, they won't be as motivated or as driven to want to achieve that 10,000 hour status to become an expert in that area.